Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show as we start our last half of our second hour here. I'm very happy today. I'm happy and sad. It's kind of a bittersweet thing, but Ron and Deb Etheridge are two good friends for a long time. I've known them, 10, 15 years, something like that?
It's been longer than that.
Has it been longer than that?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Well, anyway, great to have you in the studio today. But the reason the studio, it's good, and it came out of something terrible. And Zachary Clouser, of course, your son, who died on July 18th of 2007, roadside bomb in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and all of us remember all of our sons and our daughters who died for our country. And we've seen each other at Prospect Hill Cemetery, readings and so forth. And so that was how all this got started. But you're here today to talk about something good that's come out of it. And you know, take us back. I mean, you're the mother and the father of a serviceman, and you get that word, Deb, and it's got to just be the worst thing in the world.
It was when they came to notify us that Zach had been killed by a roadside bomb in Iraq. It's like your world stops. And it's hard to get back to what you thought was normal, and you learn a new normal. And what our new normal is, we have developed a foundation in the memory of Zach, Special Zachary Clouser Benefit Fund, and through that we raise money and we give scholarships to technical students that are graduating and fit the criteria. Since we've started this, since Zach passed away, we've given about $10,000 to students to help them lessen the burden of the financial, burdens of school.
Sure, and great stuff. You've taken something and really moved it forward. Ron, you talk about a new normal. What's the new normal look like these last 8 years?
Well, the new normal is you learn it doesn't ever go away. You learn how to cope with it. You learn how to survive with it, because it is a part of your life every day, because no matter what happens, there's something that triggers every day. Like during hunting season, he was an avid hunter and fisherman and outdoors. So anytime I'm outdoors or whatever, or just riding down the road, sometimes chills just come over your body. And just remembering what happened, some people say, well, why don't you just forget about it? This is a family member. You can never forget about it. This is a son. This is an uncle. It's a cousin. It's flesh and blood. You just learn how to cope with it and try and make the best of it every day.
I had a chance to remember Zachary when he was a kid, and I remember him playing football, and he was just a neat kid to be around, a lot of life, a lot of energy. I think people touch us, and I think the worst thing is that you could ever do would be to forget about someone in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you carry them in your hearts, and again, when you carry that spirit forward, I think you also find that you can do great things like you're doing right now with helping other people. And so, let's not ever forget. I hope we never forget. You're doing a big event coming up on May 30th, and I wanted you both to talk a little bit about this event because it's something very, very special, and it's named after Zachary. Tell us about it.
7 or 8 years ago, when I can't even remember exactly when I started this, but we started out with like 25 or 30 vendors in the parking lot of my daughter's beauty shop.
Okay.
Raising money, and they did a cut-a-thon. $10 haircuts all day long. 100% of the proceeds would go into the foundation. And every year since, it's grown and grown. And this year, on May 30th at the Dover Borough Fire Company at 30 East Canal Road, I have a major vendor event. I have a live band. Rock Candy will be performing. And I have bounce houses for the kids, face painting, food vendors. 85 to 90 vendors coming out to set up their booths to advertise and sell and promote their businesses. And I have Chinese auctions, raffles, 50-50s, anything and everything that you can imagine is going to be happening there. And the ride, the memorial ride, I'll let Ron touch on that, will be ending there, bringing in, more riders and more awareness to the fact that we'll never allow Zach's name to be forgotten.
And I think in remembering Zach, you also remember the other veterans and soldiers and people who have served our country along the way, who have given the ultimate sacrifice. But I know the show opens that day to the public at 10 a.m. It runs until 3 p.m. It's going to be a really neat time. And as you said, more than 100 vendors. Rock Candy's going to be performing on stage. You got the stuff for the kids. You got in-stairs, upstairs, downstairs, outside, door prizes, raffles. And the one thing you put at the bottom of the paper that still stuck with me was still touching lives through the help of others. And that's really what this is all about. Talk a little bit about the ride that's going to be happening that day. I was just at Lee Haynes' funeral not long ago. We saw each other there. And, of course, Lee, the father of Matt Haynes, and a good friend. And I'm always struck by the motorcycle people that come in, because they are, and who were there at your son's funeral and remembering. And I'm struck by these people because of the fact that the honor that they show this country, the honor that they show the people who serve this country, Ron.
Yeah, Gary, you're exactly right there. The motorcycle community as a whole is probably has the biggest hearts you would ever want to find, because they would literally give the shirt off of your back to help somebody in need. And with our event, like I say, this is the third year the ride is going on. The first year, I think we had like 60-some registered riders. Last year, we had 85 registered riders. And with the promotions and the notoriety of this event, who knows what's going to happen this year. And basically, we start the registration at Prospect Hill Cemetery at 8:45 the 30th, Friday morning. And the Saturday morning, and then we leave at 10 o'clock, heading out on approximately a 60-mile ride through York County, basically Dover area, out through Lewisberry, out back and around, and of course we have a halfway stop point at Pinchot State Park. So if anybody can't make the ride, they want to meet us out there and say hi to everybody, they can. And then we're at Pinchot Park for about a half an hour to give the riders a chance for a water break and a bathroom break. And then we finish up the last leg, and we end up at the Dover Fire Hall. And, I'll tell you, it's really amazing the support that we get from the various clubs. This is in concert with the motorcycle club that Deb and I ride with, the Guardian Knights, a tremendous organization, law enforcement-based club. And we are very heavy into the community and giving back to veterans, first responders, and so forth and so on.
And it's going to be starting at the Living Memorial at Prospect Hill Cemetery. That's 700 North George Street, for those of you out there in York, PA 17403. And 10 a.m. You get started that day. Yes. You're going to be kicking off the ride then. But I guess it's, $20 per biker, and then $10 per passenger.
Per passenger, yes, okay. It is.
So not being a rider, I'm getting all this lingo down here. But
we can make you a rider, Gary.
I know.
Do it.
But again, what do you guys talk about in these rides? I mean, one of the things that amaze me, and I've seen the various motorcycle clubs around here, and a lot to be proud of there. I can remember, I remember many years ago when we got started with cycling, and people were, it was always kind of the wild people, and it was, it was a whole other end of the spectrum. Now, it's come to another side of it now, where you see these kind of patriots out there. And I remember, was it the Westfield Baptist Church that was trying to protest Zachary's, or Westboro, and they was trying to protest, and these guys stood up and they held pictures of Zachary there, and they were like, a guy would walk by and show pictures. That's one of the things I remember, in addition to the service itself. That day, they were showing pictures of Zachary and like reminding people why they were there, and they were singing the national anthem, and they were singing patriotic songs. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, wouldn't it be neat for the whole country to see a video of these people and how they treat America right here, especially when you have the death of one of the heroes who were among us?
You're exactly right. We thank to this day the Patriot Guard riders and all those that rode with them that day of our loss, and when we were trying to pay honor and respect to our son. And, to stand there and for those people from Westboro to do what they did, they don't have a clue. They don't understand what freedom is all about. And that goes true for a lot of people until it hits close to home for them. One of their family members, they really don't understand the closeness of a military family or a motorcycle group, because it's truly a brotherhood. You ride for each other. You take care of each other. You look out for each other. No man left behind. And that is the philosophy that was ingrained in me as a veteran. You always look out for your brother. You always offer a helping hand, no matter who it is.
And we thank you for your service, too, to the country as well.
Thank you.
One of the heroes who ride among us now.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Zachary. I think sometimes we do these, and I don't mean to make it painful, but I think it's a good thing to remember. Tell us about Zachary and who he was, because so many times we thank people for their service, and we stand there and we are left wanting for words. I'm a guy that's in a business where I'm not often left wanting for words, and yet when it comes to talking, you know that it's painful, and yet at the same time, it's also often good to remember for people to know that these people, whenever I've read the names at East Prospect or Prospect Cemetery, I've often stopped and thought about who these people were as you read the name. I wonder what their history was. I wonder who their families are. I wonder what they did, what they loved, what the hobbies were, and so forth. Who was Zachary Clouser?
Well, when Zach was born, I kind of knew that he was going to be a little bit different. He was born and raised in York County, Dover School District. He started in Dover School District and graduated from Dover in 2005. During his upbringing, he was very sports-oriented. I don't think that there's a sport that he didn't try. I always made sure that if he wanted to do something and we signed him up to do it, that he needed to finish it, because I don't allow quitting.
Right.
Quitting isn't an option. So if you want to do something, you are going to want to have to stick with it, or you're not going to sign up for it at all. Because wrestling, he didn't like it, but I made him stick it out. It got to the point where I had to bribe him just to go to practices, but I wouldn't let him quit.
I think all parents are maybe going through that at some point in time.
Yeah. He played, I think, 9 years of youth baseball through the Dover system, and he played 6 years on Tri-Town's football field. Mm-hmm. And I think he played 3 years of basketball through the Dover youth system. Mm-hmm. And when he got beyond that, he started, into the hunting, the fishing, the archery. He was an avid bowler because he was on a team that would go to the bowling alley after school and do their little thing. And he was always on his bicycle going somewhere doing something until he got a car key, and then we never got to see him much because he was always out running around doing whatever they do. But there wasn't anything that he did that I didn't know about because of the amount of people that we know that would call me on the phone. Hey, what was he doing out of school? What was he doing downtown when he's supposed to be in school? So that was just the type of kid that he was. He was a good kid. He really never got into any trouble that he was aware of being, going to be getting in trouble with or whatever. But, all around, he was a good kid. He had many friends. If you were to ask the friends that he had, they would say that Zach was always the glue that would hold them together. Because at this point in time, the circle of friends are separate little, families now. I do believe that if Zach were here today, they would all still be one circle. Zach didn't want to go to college. He thought that he could go into the Army and be paid to learn what he could pay to learn as far as going to a technical school. So he decided that he was going to go into the Army. He had to turn 18 first because I wasn't going to sign for him to go. So once he turned 18, he went and signed the papers and ended up in the infantry division of the 1st Infantry Division. He was Blue Spader, Task Force 126, based out of Schweinfurt, Germany. And once he finished his boot camp at Fort Benning, Schweinfurt, Germany was his first duty station, and who at 18 wouldn't want to be based in Germany? So within 7 months of him being in Germany for his first duty, he was deployed to Kuwait and then went over to Iraq.
Right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about the big event coming up on May 30th. So many times we say thank you for your service. Here's a way you can say thank you to the memory of a young man who served his country. And maybe in saying thank you there, you can say thank you to the memory of so many people who have served our country as well. This is one of our own from right here in York County. We'll be back with more. Ron and Deb Etheridge with us here on the Gary Sutton Show, the parents of Zachary Clouser. On News Radio 910 WSBA. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA with Deb and Ron Etheridge. And A big event coming up on May 30th, and I'm glad to plug this one. It's at the Union Fire and Hose Company, and that is located over at 30 East Canal Road in Dover, PA, 17315. You want to, Google or MapQuest it or whatever. 30 East Canal Road. They're going to be featuring Rock Candy live on the band stage. Show opens to the public at 10 a.m. It runs until 3 p.m., and it's benefiting the Specialist Zachary Clouser Benefit Fund, a 501(c) nonprofit. And their mission, as they said in the beginning here, is to help with others' higher education through technical school scholarships, to support the troops with care packages, and help the homeless veterans with needed essentials. You also have a ride that's going to be going on that day, a motorcycle ride that'll be starting at Prospect Hill Historic Cemetery, right there at the Living Memorial on 700 North George Street. And that will be starting at 10 a.m. that same day. You'll do about a 60-mile ride, $20 per biker, $10 per passenger. They're going to be stopping out at Pinchot Park about halfway through, so you can meet them there if you're not a rider that day. I suspect you could probably make some donations along the way there as well, and no one is going to turn those down. But all this goes in honor of Specialist Zachary R. Clouser, again, who died on July 18th of 2007. But his spirit certainly lives on in great abundance right now.
Yes, as the flyer says, still touching lives with the help of others. If it wouldn't be for the community pitching in and supporting us and carrying us through this, it would never be possible. I'm kind of overwhelmed with the community support. The Dover Borough Fire Company has been wonderful. They give us a facility to use. They're there to help us, and they just go over and above to make sure that this event is one of the best that it could be from year to year. So we'd like to just see everybody out there and give your support. Bring a lawn chair. You can sit and listen to the band. You can grab something to eat. You can, take some chances on some of the raffles that we got going on. Visit some of the vendors. We'd love to see as many people out there as possible. And have some fun that day as well. Exactly. And again, in memory, too, of a great American. And Ron, also, about 15 seconds left here. You got these little chips that you hand out each year that has Zachary's picture on, and each year has a different edition, right?
Yes, it does. What I created was a ride coin. So each year I develop a new series for that to add to it, so that as the riders ride our rides over the years, now they can look back and see the different versions of what happens with us.
A way to say thank you to a young man who stood up for his country and gave the ultimate sacrifice, but his spirit continues to live and still touching lives with the help of others. And you can help out and say more than just thank you by helping out on May 30th over at the Dover Fire Company. And that's right there at 30 East Canal Road, or getting involved in the ride up there at Prospect Hill Cemetery. Thank you both so much for being with me.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you for having us.